What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and today's the day. I've been waiting for quite some time to be able to see this film. I've finally seen it, and now it is time to review it. Of course, I'm talking about the follow-up to David Gordon Green's Halloween 2018. We're talking Halloween Kills today. So what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to start it out, this review video, by a shorter, spoiler-free version for people who haven't seen the movie, to be able to come in and safely listen to at least what I thought about the film. And I am going to have a spoiler version after that. Now, I will give everyone a spoiler alert and ample time to click off of this video if you haven't seen the film already. If you have, obviously feel free to stick around and we can kind of have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation here about this film. But what I'm going to do, like I said, is we're going to start out here first with the non-spoiler, the spoiler-free review of Halloween Kills. So as far as talking about this film without giving too much away about what happens in the film, I can say the following. The movie is shot beautifully. I really didn't have I never really doubted that would be the case. I was a big fan of what David Gordon Green did behind the camera in Halloween 2018, and I believe that this is pushed to this film as well. Shot very beautifully. John Carpenter back with the score, so the score is amazing. Visually, audioly, this is very easy for someone like me to take in. I absolutely love this movie as far as the cinematography, as far as the score. Amazing, well done. Now, one thing that is kicked up in this film is the brutality. As you probably heard already, in every single person who doesn't understand the Halloween franchise, who is walking into a theater to watch and then review a film entitled Halloween Kills, and were taken aback by the violence. So first off, I wasn't taken aback by the violence. I wasn't offended or anything like that. But what I will say is it is definitely a jump into more violent and brutal territory after you've seen Halloween 2018. This is the direct follow-up, the second part of a sequel, or excuse me, a trilogy, which is something other people have to remember as well. This film isn't necessarily a standalone film. It is the second part of David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. And I felt like a lot of people, those of us who aren't affiliated with the genre, with the franchise, so to speak, a lot of people going in maybe didn't realize that. And I think a lot of people going in thought we were going to get more of the, I guess, quote-unquote, kind of artsy version of Halloween like we did with the first David Gordon Green one. But this one is definitely balls to the walls, very brutal. If that's not something you're into, first, I don't really know why you're here on this channel. But maybe this one isn't for you. I'll just put it out there. But it's Michael Myers, folks. It's Halloween. This is part and parcel of the franchise and what you kind of should expect coming into it. Now, the level is dialed up here again. But man, it is indeed what they say it is. It's Halloween Kills, and it is brutal. I won't say much about this in the spoiler-free review, but I will venture in to say that keep an eye out for reflections. It seems to be like a common theme in this film, reflections. I'll get more into that in the spoiler version of this review, but I did want everyone going into this movie, keep an eye out for reflections, for scenes where people are having conversations. One of them is recorded in the mirror having this conversation. Keep an eye on people looking at their reflections. I'd say that it's going to be way more important than it was in this film in Halloween Ends. And it's just something that I really want people to look at whenever they watch the movie the first time, because it struck me early on, and I picked it up, and it seemed to gain momentum through the film. One thing a lot of the fans of this franchise are going to want to hear about, and I can tell you this because it's already public knowledge that there are 1978 flashbacks in this film. Now, I won't tell you what happens in the spoiler-free version, obviously, in those flashbacks, but what I will tell you is that casting has done a fantastic job with these younger characters, and maybe some characters we haven't seen in a very long time. And the less said about that, the better here in the spoiler-free territory. But I think Overall, what to say about those 78 flashbacks without saying too much? Holy shit. It seemed like someone dropped a high-tech camera from 2020, I guess when this film was made, and dropped it into 1978. It looks and feels just like John Carpenter's original, with updated camera equipment. That's what it looks and feels like to me. It's so well done, and any big fan of this franchise is really, really going to enjoy seeing those scenes. I'd also be remiss without bringing up the cast. I think Judy Greer and Annie Matichak give, in my opinion, better performances than they did in the 2018 film. And that's not to, take the proverbial shit on their performances in that film. I think they did fine there as well. But I really think those two have kicked it up, especially Judy Greer in this one. James Jude Courtney as Michael does a fantastic job. Aaron Armstrong also plays the Shape in the 78 flashback scenes. I got to tell you, both of these gentlemen did a fantastic job. I knew James Jude Courtney would, as evidenced by Halloween 2018, but this fellow who did the 78 flashbacks did an amazing job as well. Really, really put me in mind of being back in 1978 and seeing what all went down. I got to tell you, I'm even kind of surprised at Kyle Richards, who hasn't really done much acting since the original Halloween. And I think she did a fine job here. I think Anthony Michael Hall did a good job as Tommy. I know that there are some people out there saying they're not a big fan of his performance of Tommy. I think he did a fantastic job, honestly. And I'll be real with you. I would have much rather seen Anthony Michael Hall in this than I would have seen Brian Andrews, who portrayed Tommy Doyle in the original film. And Robert Longstreet, he did a great job playing the adult Lonnie. There's just, so many good performances in this thing, ranging from good all the way to great. So I did feel like that was something that needed to be brought up as well. To close out this spoiler-free section of the review here, I'll say this. In my estimation, and I'm not using the same verbiage exactly that John Carpenter used when referring to Halloween Kills, but he said something along the lines of Halloween Kills is the quintessential slasher film. Something along those lines. And I have to agree 100%. Before I close out the spoiler-free portion of this review, I would just like to say this, especially given the amount of negative attention this movie has gotten. I believe in my heart of hearts, if you are a Halloween fan, you will absolutely love this movie. If you are a fan of the slasher genre, I believe you'll more than likely really enjoy this movie. If you're not, I gotta say, this movie probably isn't for you. If you're your average, casual moviegoer, you may like it, you may not. But I really do feel deep down that most Halloween fans are going to be very, very pleased by what happens in this film. I know I was. And with that said, here it is, folks. I'm giving out the alert here. Spoiler alert's coming. We're jumping into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen Halloween Kills at this point, I guess now would be a good time to turn the video off. However, if you have seen Halloween Kills, let's buckle in and talk about one hell of a wild ride that David Gordon Green took us on. Alright, so spoiler version of this review begins now, folks. Last warning. So let's talk about the film here. The 78 flashbacks, that's how we, at least the largest portion of the flashbacks are at the beginning of the film. We meet young Hawkins and his partner, Michael, toward the end of his reign of terror in 1978. He's already been shot by Loomis. They're pursuing him after he disappeared. We obviously get to see what happened to little Lonnie back in the day. Had a pretty scary situation with Michael, but of course Hawkins' partner goes down, kind of psychologically scars him. How that goes down with Michael. Michael does end up getting caught here, which was expounded upon later in the film. I gotta say, Loomis looks really good in this movie. Obviously not Donald Pleasance. He passed away back in 1995. But Loomis looks really good, and I think he sounds really good. And a lot of people don't like the sound of Loomis, but I'll tell you, is it 100% spot on? No. but that's pretty damn difficult to achieve. I got to tell you, the voiceover work did in Halloween H2O sounded nothing like him. I think the voiceover work from a couple of years ago from David Gordon Green's Halloween in 2018, I think it sounded pretty damn close. Maybe the closest as far as Loomis's voice yet. But I got to tell you, as far as the overall package, the costume, the look of the actor, the sound of the actor, I think they did an amazing job casting Loomis. He's used very sparingly for obvious reasons, but for a Halloween fan like me, those scenes, they filled my heart. I love the Loomis character, and, even though Donald Pleasance isn't with us anymore, and even though it was for a short period of time, I really enjoyed seeing Loomis on the screen. And holy shit, I gotta tell you, as far as, we talked about the brutality, the violence of this film in the non-spoiler version. I counted at the very least 27 bodies dropped in this one. Now, I know there are more than that. I counted 27 kills on the screen. Now, there were more firefighters than what they actually showed kills. And I would feel safe to say that there were more people killed in that mob fight at the end of the film with Michael than what was shown. So I would say at the bare minimum of 30 people drop in this thing. I'll say 30 plus. I would say it's probably the highest body count in any Halloween film that I recall, and I think that includes the Rob Zombie Halloweens as well. So that does say something. Michael is a beast in this movie, and there's pretty much no stopping him. And speaking of his kills, we kind of go back to the original Halloween with these kills, because, he does the stalking, he does the kill. What is missing here? What haven't we seen since the original Halloween in such a profound way? And I think that's how Michael views his murders. I think he views them as art. There are recreations of, images he found in people's homes, like Big John and Little John, how they have that one picture in their study where one's lying on the other one's lap, and after he murders them, he recreates that image, only vice versa. And, little things like that. The way that he makes the big spectacle out of Marion and some of the other characters with the, once again, silver shamrock mask. I'm telling you guys, David Gordon Green really has a hard-on for those silver shamrock masks, and I would not be surprised if they play a part in Halloween Ends, or if we actually eventually get some sort of a follow-up to Season of the Witch down the road, because I gotta tell you, those masks were everywhere. Well, I'll say they were in 2018, and they are everywhere in this movie. So, you know what? Just speculation, but keep your eyes out. There may be a Season of the Witch 2 upon us. At least my fingers are crossed anyway. I also like how this movie kind of plays with the notion of who is really the monster at certain points in the film. Is it Michael, or is it the townspeople who have had enough, who want Michael dead, who don't want this curse on their city anymore, so to speak, and rise up in an effort to literally kill the boogeyman, so to speak. And in doing so, they end up obviously causing one of the other escapees from when Michael bailed in the 2018 film to commit suicide in order to not have to be ripped to shreds by this mob. And it's kind of a heart-wrenching moment in a lot of ways, and I thought that was very well done as well. And it really does give you the whole idea to put into your mind of who are the monsters. Is Michael the monster? Well, sure, Michael's the monster, but is he the only monster? And what gave birth to this monster? What was it? Society? I don't know. There's a lot of talk in this film about reflections. And there's a lot of talk in this film about Michael's mask. Standing in that one area of Judith's room. Was he staring out to the city? Was he staring at his own reflection? Some really artsy-fartsy type stuff that I really enjoyed. They're taking Michael down a different road than we've ever seen him before. This isn't some cult that controls him. This isn't just some mindless family killer. There's something really deep and psychological going on with this incarnation of Michael Myers. And I am super fucking excited to see what they do in Halloween Ends with this. As far as the Michael's mask thing, how it seemed like a Achilles heel when there's a character, Lindsay actually, who pulls the mask almost off of him when he's attacking her, and he throws her to the ground to fix the mask, giving her time to get away. Michael later in the film chases Karen down in pursuit of his mask. It's almost as if the mask has to be on to give him that comfort or whatever it may be. There's definitely a connection with the mask. I think after watching Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, that's definitely been nailed home. But the spot of Judith's room in that window is utilized over and over and over again, from the surprise Karen kill at the end to pretty much anyone that stands there, even at the beginning when Hawkins' partner stands there. There's something about that area. There's something about reflections, about looking within oneself, and they're trying to make a statement about this. Now, they definitely didn't give away 100% exactly what that was as it relates to the character of Michael, but I believe they've introduced something very interesting, and I cannot wait to see that expounded upon. Yeah, they tried to give us a bit of a Cameron redemption. I don't know how many people are going to be too apt to taking that. They tried to give it to us early and often that maybe Cameron's not that bad of a guy when the chips are really down, but he got fucked up anyway, so he's gone. So all of us who were really excited to see him go in 2018 and it didn't happen, you got what you want, but you had to wait until at least a slight redemption arc first, I guess, for old Cameron. Also, I gotta say this, I gotta talk about that fight. The mob fight between Michael and the townspeople of Haddonfield at the end of this one. They set him up, get him in with the mask, and it's pretty much on. They, at the beginning, just completely beat the shit out of Michael. And you kind of harken back to that 78 flashback when Michael is pretty much allowing himself to be taken in. Hawkins stops Loomis from putting that last bullet right in the back of his brain. It's like something turns in Michael and he understands. And the ending is very different this time. He isn't locked up as he was in the 78 flashback. He fucks everyone up, and I mean everyone. As far as like characters being whittled down in this one, man, I mean he kills Marion in this movie. He kills Cameron. He kills Lonnie. In this big brawl, he ends up killing Brackett. He kills Tommy. Of course, I mentioned he kills Karen at the end of this. I'm going to get to that again here in just a second. But I was upset to see Tommy and Brackett go. I don't think they've died in any incarnation in this franchise. Maybe in the comics, but as far as like film goes, I don't think I've ever bore witness to a Brackett or Tommy death. So those things were new. Kind of took me aback, even though I knew there were going to be a lot of bodies dropping in this one. I won't lie to you. It was kind of sad watching Brackett go. One of the more sad deaths for me in this film and in the entire franchise, I think, the more I think about it, after that mob had Michael beaten down and Brackett goes up to give that last bullet right to the back of the brain, as Loomis was attempting to do in the 78 flashbacks, Michael springs back to life, slits his throat, and pretty much just goes ham on everybody. So I'm not going to lie, I was a little upset to see Brackett go. I think he kind of holds a interesting place in my heart as a Halloween character. So that was sad to see. But yeah, the characters have definitely been whittled down in this one. I think to the point to where in the next film, as far as your main characters that have already been established, we're really only looking at Laurie, Allison, Lindsay, and Hawkins. And that's it. Now that's cool because you're not going to have to be bouncing around so much between the different stories and what's going on in this area of town or this area of town, this group of characters. So I don't think Halloween Ends is going to be as chaotic as Kills was. And that'll probably be better for character work and story to be finally fleshed out and brought to, its fruition. So I'm fine with that. But I will say, man, watching some of these old favorite characters go is pretty heart-wrenching. So let's talk about that ending. How about it? Because Karen believes that she has killed Michael, stabbed him in the back when the mob got the best of him. She goes back. She stands eventually in the same area where Michael stood all those years ago, always looking out, or was he looking in? And Karen does this. She kind of looks within herself. She stands in this area. She takes a deep breath, and then Michael reemerges and gives us a kill that is most reminiscent of the Judith Myers kill from the original film. Shot similarly, executed similarly, the score is similar. It is a really, really crazy moment in this film. I think this thing goes out on an insane high note. It left me super stoked and ready to see Halloween Ends, even though we've got a whole year before this thing surfaces. But I got to tell you, as far as what I kept seeing in this movie that really has me watching it, because I've watched it 3 times at this point because of Peacock. Thank you, Peacock. In the theater and then twice on Peacock. But the things that were really set up in this movie that I think I'm ready to see expounded upon, especially going forth into Halloween Kills, these things really interest me in Kills. I'm looking forward to them going in Ends, rather. Are Michael's connection with his mask, because that was hinted at in 2018. It's definitely been expounded upon in Kills, but we still aren't quite there with an explanation. And I don't know if they'll ever really give us an explanation or if they'll just give us these questions to think about. And I'm fine either way, to be honest with you, because they're interesting. Regardless, they're interesting. But Michael's connection with his mask, and his connection, or maybe anyone's connection, potentially, with this spot in Judith's former room, staring out into the city or staring into yourself. So I'm very interested to see where those two things go from here. But in closing, I'll say this. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who did not like this movie. There are some horror fans that didn't like it. There's some casual moviegoers that didn't like it. I've seen a good bit of people shit on this thing. Now, I have seen a lot of positive press and positive reviews as well. But I will say this. And I said it at the beginning. I'll reiterate here because I do feel like it's worth repeating. I think if you're a Halloween fan, you'll probably enjoy this because there's some deep lore here. There's some really bold jumps toward not explaining what Michael is, but maybe why he is. There's some deep questions here at the end of this. Michael doesn't seem quite as human anymore after this, but it's never really explicitly said that he isn't. Maybe he isn't, is the tone that I'm given. Maybe he's not. Who knows? And that's the best thing about the character of Michael Myers, is you just don't know. He appears to be a human being, but he does things and is capable of doing things that are definitely not things a human being could do. So he's the Shape, and I'm so glad they're keeping that aspect of the character alive. I'm ready to see how Laurie's going to react to the death of Karen. I know we're doing a time jump in Halloween Ends. I think we're going 4 years into the future in 2022, so it'll be year accurate, the year the picture releases. I gotta say, I love this movie. I really do. I know a lot of people don't, but I'm a slasher fan, I'm a Halloween fan, I'm a horror fan. And I walked into a theater and I saw blood and guts everywhere, bodies dropping, a compelling story about the character of Michael Myers that I already find interesting, a compelling story about, who really are the monsters in this town, a compelling story about reflections and how one views their own self and how that can dictate who they become. There's just a lot of really cool stuff in this one. And I gotta tell you, I am a huge, huge fan of this film. And I do believe that I would put this in the top 4 of the Halloween franchise. Now, I will be doing a re-ranking the Halloween franchise to kind of check myself there. But I do believe it'll definitely be in the top 5, maybe even the top 4, like I said. So I enjoyed this film. I really did. If you haven't seen it, if you want to go out into the scary world and brave the pandemic, go check it out if you feel safe in theaters. If not, it's on Peacock right now. You can get an ad account for like $5. They're not going to stop your movie and play ads in the middle, just at the beginning. So check it out. It's a good time. Like I said, if you're a slasher fan, if you're a Halloween fan, I don't see how you can't like this movie. But if you're just a casual moviegoer, check it out. Maybe it is something for you. You don't know. Don't always listen to the critics, Don't listen to me. Take like I always say, take my reviews with a grain of salt. Go check them out even if I say it sucks. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Like I said, I think I'm going to have to give Halloween Kills, I think I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I think it expounded upon the last entry and the Michael lore in general. It was one hell of a brutal and exciting film, and I think it sets up for the next one. The Strodes win in 2018. Michael wins in Kills. Who wins for the day and Halloween Ends? Who's going to take it all? We'll find out in 1 year. So yeah, with that said, drop your comments down below. Let me know what you all think about Halloween Kills. And with that said, I'm Bran from Bloody Breakdown. Catch you all next time.